You've heard it, right? Maybe you've even said it yourself. Wow, you really don't look your age.
Oh, definitely. It's such a common compliment.
It is. But, it's usually just taken as, well, a compliment about looking good.
Yeah.
What if it's actually pointing to something way deeper?
Exactly. Like, what if it's not just about the creams or the genes, but maybe a hint about something within the person, a sort of spiritual signal?
Yeah, that's where we're heading today. This deep dive, we're looking at sources that seriously suggest this whole ageless vibe isn't just luck.
Right. They talk about it being a kind of spiritual signature. Some people might actually have what these texts call ageless soul. It's a fascinating idea.
It really is. So we're going to unpack some, frankly, pretty unconventional reasons why some folks just seem to defy time. And it's about more than just looking young.
Much more.
So I guess the big question we're asking here is, what if beating the clock isn't really about luck or biology, but something truly profound happening, like deep within the soul?
That's the core of it. Let's dive in. So the sources kick off with this really strong claim. For certain people, looking younger isn't just random. It's presented as a sign that their soul has some kind of unfinished business.
Unfinished business.
Yeah, or a specific task. And because of that, they're sort of protected, maybe by an ancient memory or some kind of spiritual essence. It makes youthfulness less biological, more intentional, you could say.
Wow. Okay. So this isn't just an abstract thought then. The sources say it actually shows up physically. How does that look?
Oh, absolutely. They describe these individuals as seeming almost untouched by the decades passing.
Untouched.
Yeah, like there's this real clarity in their eyes, a brightness, and their skin has this subtle resilience, almost an immunity to the usual wear and tear of time.
Mm-hmm.
Their whole presence often feels lighter, more vibrant, almost like they're defying gravity just a little bit.
Okay, and the sources are specific that this isn't just because they use expensive creams or won the genetic lottery.
Right. Or even just because they're incredibly mentally resilient. They distinguish it.
Yeah.
It's presented as something deeper, something stemming from that core spiritual thing we mentioned.
It makes you think, what energies inside could possibly create that kind of outward effect? Which brings us nicely to the Vedic ideas, right?
Yeah.
Ojas and Tejas.
Exactly. Ancient concepts, but very relevant here. Let's start with Ojas.
Okay, Ojas. What is that?
It's described as like the very essence of vitality. Think of it as a divine nectar.
Divine nectar. Sounds good.
Doesn't it? And it's supposedly cultivated through things like living truthfully, sacred practices, and finding real inner peace.
Okay.
And the insight here is when you have plenty of Ojas, your body doesn't just feel energetic.
Yeah.
It actually glows with softness, resilience, and this unmistakable youthfulness. It connects deep inner states directly to the physical.
Wow. So living right actually makes you glow.
According to this, yes.
Yep.
And then there's Tejas.
Right. Tejas. How's that different?
Tejas is more like the radiant fire of conscience, not destructive fire, but illuminate, like a light from within.
Okay.
People with strong Tejas are said to have this magnetic quality, an intensity in their eyes, a kind of spiritual brightness that makes their actual physical self more resistant to, well, entropy, decay.
So one's like the vital juice, the other's the inner light.
That's a good way to put it. And importantly, the sources stress these aren't just metaphors. They're described as actual forces, maybe beyond what our current science can easily measure.
Unseen energies influencing the physical body. That really leads perfectly into the next idea, does spiritual integrity.
Absolutely. Keeping your essence, your true self kind of whole, uncompromised.
So how does living in alignment or, not living in alignment affect aging, according to these sources?
Well, this is where it gets quite pointed. The sources suggest that every time someone acts against their own soul.
How do you mean, like lying? Or just going along with the crowd?
Exactly. Suppressing your intuition, not speaking your truth, abandoning who you really are. Yeah. Each time, it's like a tiny crack forms in your energetic structure.
A crack.
Yeah. And over time, enough of these little betrayals, these fractures, and that inner light starts to leak out.
Leak out.
Which apparently leads to a visible dullness. You see it in the eyes first, maybe even a kind of inward sag or collapse in the face.
Wow, so betraying yourself literally shows on your face. That's intense.
It is. But then there's the flip side.
For those who stay true.
Yes. For the rare few, maybe, who consciously stick to that path of integrity, for them, the inner light doesn't leak. It actually accumulates. Like liquid gold filling the body is how one source puts it. And eventually, it starts to radiate right through the skin.
Liquid gold.
Their cheeks seem lifted. Their eyes stay bright. Even their hands feel warm, alive, regardless of the calendar years. It's about the soul holding its original pattern, resisting that deformation.
That's a really powerful image.
Yeah.
And as the soul holds that pattern, the sources then talk about our energy blueprint, right? The aura or subtle body.
Exactly. Everyone has this energy field. Called it the aura, the etheric double, the light body. Different traditions have different names.
And how does that link to youthfulness?
Well, the idea is when this field is smooth, coherent, not all choppy and distorted by emotional turmoil, it acts like a template. It reflects a kind of divine order or sacred geometry directly into your physical tissues, your bones, your skin.
So someone who looks incredibly young for their age, their inner energy field is basically intact, undisturbed.
That's the idea. You're seeing someone whose inner geometry hasn't been fractured. They might have gone through hell, faced incredible hardship.
But they didn't compromise their core self in the process.
Precisely. They chose stillness over chaos, maybe truth over fitting in, prayer or meditation over panic. Their inner blueprint held firm, and their body reflects that order.
And this isn't just theory. The sources actually point to specific, almost mystical phenomena behind this agelessness.
They do. Really fascinating stuff. One is called the eye that sees itself.
The eye that sees itself. What's that?
It describes a pretty rare state where someone at least once has had this profound spiritual awakening, maybe through deep silence, meditation, or just a moment of grace.
Okay.
And in that moment, they directly perceived their soul separate from their body. They saw the eternal part of themselves. And the insight is, from that point on, a little spark of eternity lodges in their gaze. Their eyes become ageless because they've literally seen the timeless aspect within.
The sources actually mention seeing this, right? In monks or hermits.
Yeah, people living intensely spiritual lives. Their bodies might age, naturally, but their faces could seem increasingly youthful, paradoxically. Their inner light just becomes more visible than the physical decay.
That's profound. Perception literally changing reality.
And then there's another concept, equally intriguing, the scarless mind.
Scarless mind. Does that mean they haven't suffered?
No, not at all. It's not about avoiding suffering. It means their soul hasn't become permanently marked or defined by the suffering they've witnessed or experienced.
Okay, I think I get it. Like, most of us carry baggage that isn't even ours.
Exactly. The sources call them unearned scars.
Right.
We pick up our parents' fears, maybe our ancestors' traumas, cultural shame, all this stuff that isn't fundamentally ours.
Right.
But those with a scarless mind somehow maintain their sovereignty. They experience life, absorb it, but they don't let the difficulties define their core essence.
How does that translate physically?
Well, the idea is their nervous systems stay more open, less contracted. Their breath is deeper. Their inner world isn't burned by past trauma. So their outer form mirrors that unbroken essence. It's a youthfulness born from refusal, really. Refusal to be permanently scarred.
That's powerful. Actively choosing not to be defined by the bad stuff. And then psychic community. What's that about?
Yeah, this comes up in traditions like Sufism, Gnostic paths. Some souls are apparently born with or develop a kind of energetic shield.
A shield against what?
Against what the texts call emotional poisons. Things like collective fear, manipulation, shame, the general negativity that can be pervasive in society.
Okay.
This immunity protects their vital energy. Because they aren't easily swayed or kind of hypnotized by negative cultural narratives, their bodies just don't react with the same stress patterns as most.
Less stress physically.
Exactly. Which translates, supposedly, to softer organs, more supple skin, eyes that stay curious and, well, wild. For these people, time just doesn't seem to stick the same way.
Doesn't stick like that.
It frames aging less as just biological breakdown and more as the result of energetic weight accumulating and pressing down on the physical form.
Makes you really wonder how much invisible weight we all carry around, doesn't it?
It really does.
So as we're unpacking these inner states, the sources then hit us with even bigger ideas, like how our relationship with huge concepts like death, silence, even our own intentions, can totally reshape time and aging for us. Let's start with death. It seems counterintuitive for staying young.
It absolutely does from a modern perspective. We tend to avoid death, fear it, deny it.
Right.
But the mystic, they face it head on. And apparently, this confrontation is key. When someone goes through what's called ego death.
Ego death. Through what? Meditation, near-death experiences?
Yeah, or intense ritual, profound loss, things that shatter the normal sense of self. The soul has this shocking awakening.
Okay.
And the body sort of gets the memo. It realizes it's not the be-all and end-all. Spirit emerges as primary. And in that moment, linear time kind of loses its grip.
Loses its grip.
Yeah, some traditions call it the kiss of eternity. The person touches something timeless within themselves.
And the body actually responds to that.
Yeah.
That kiss. Physically.
That's the claim. Once you've touched the eternal part of yourself, your biology starts aligning with that truth. Organs that were just about survival might shift, start serving a deeper intelligence.
So the body becomes less of a machine heading for breakdown and more like
A A temple, exactly. Not a battleground against time. The nervous system calms down, inflammation might decrease, and this glow returns. Not just youth, but eternity shining through.
That's a massive shift. Okay, what about silence? We usually just think of it as no noise.
Right, but in most spiritual views, silence isn't just absence. It's an actual vibrational field, and one that actively repairs the etheric body, that energy field we talked about.
Repairs it.
Yeah. Think about monks, sages, mystics. People who spend long periods in deep silence often look remarkably younger than their age.
That's true, you do hear that.
The sources say it's not a coincidence. Silence allows the body's energy systems to reset, to return to their original optimal pattern. It helps unravel trauma, dissolve all that internal noise, and it reopens the soul's connection to a kind of divine rhythm.
So people in deep silence might actually be operating on a different
time signature. That's how one text puts it. They literally step out of the regular flow.
A different time signal.
Yeah.
And finally, intention. How does just intending something affect aging?
Well, this is described as maybe one of the most profound and perhaps least understood spiritual laws. The body, it listens. It profoundly listens to the soul's deepest intention.
Listens how?
If a person genuinely, truly intends to remain aligned, to stay youthful, whole, and this is key, not out of vanity or fear of aging.
Right, not just wanting to look good.
No, it has to come from a place of reverence, a real desire to serve the divine or serve life more fully, for longer, with more light. If that deep intention is there, the body responds.
Responds how?
The cells become like servants to the throne of spiritual authority, is the phrase. When the soul makes that sacred vow, the body joins in. And aging, as we typically understand it, just doesn't apply in the same way anymore.
Wow. It's like your soul's purpose becomes the primary driver, overriding the default biological script.
That's a great way to summarize it.
Okay, so beyond these really deep internal shifts, the sources also highlight some, well, pretty unconventional habits and choices these ageless folks make, things you wouldn't normally associate with health.
Exactly. And they often fly in the face of societal norms, like one trait is rejecting standard time structures. The sources call it chronos defiance.
Chronos defiance, like defying the god of...
Sort of. These people might not follow the 9 to 5 sleep when you're told schedule. They might have really odd sleep hours, wake up super early, or just drop into deep rest spontaneously during the day.
And that's not seen as lazy or unproductive?
Not in this context. It's framed as a conscious refusal to be governed by linear clock time. Apparently, it's a practice found in old Hermetic traditions where time was viewed as this artificial current imposed on the soul, which is naturally eternal.
So stepping outside the world's rhythm actually protects you from his aging effect. That's wild. What about solitude?
Oh, yes, ritual solitude. Most people think being super social is the key to vitality.
Yeah, connection is important, right?
It is, but these individuals often deliberately disappear for periods. They protect their psychic field almost fiercely. It's not about being antisocial. It's described as field preservation.
Field preservation.
Like, yeah.
Protecting their aura.
Exactly. The idea is that constant exposure to noise, crowds, low-frequency interactions can kind of fray your energy field. Yeah. Solitude allows it to regenerate. The skin tightens, the eyes clear up, energy realigns. They're not hiding. They're tending to their energetic integrity.
An energy tune-up. Makes sense. Okay, another really surprising one. Having an intimate relationship with your shadow self.
Right. Instead of suppressing darkness or denying uncomfortable feelings, jealousy, rage, grief, lust, these individuals apparently front it. They even befriend it.
Befriend their rage. How does that work?
It's about metabolizing these raw forces, is the term used, like an alchemist turning lead into gold. This deep psychological processing keeps their inner world fluid. It prevents emotions from getting stuck, crystallizing in the body, which the sources say is a major cause of premature aging. It stops that stiffness, that contraction that comes from bottling things up.
So embracing your inner demons helps you stay young. That's
right.
Unexpected. And then there's silent rebellion.
Yeah, this is subtle. They might look totally conventional on the outside, normal job, normal life.
Okay.
But internally, they're operating on a completely different system. Maybe secretly doing ancestral rituals, talking to nature spirits, using sacred plants, following personal codes.
Living a secret magical life.
Kind of. Their whole life is this quiet dance with mystery. And that intimacy with the unknown, the sources suggest, keeps the soul intensely awake. And where the soul stays awake, the body resists just falling asleep into standard aging patterns.
Keeps the mystery alive. I like that. What about eros? Not just sex, right?
No, it's much broader. Described as divine longing. These people are often deep romantics, but in a spiritual way.
Romantics for what?
For beauty itself. They fall in love with life, with music, symbols, souls, nature, the divine. Their heart just never gets numb or cynical. It stays open, engaged, full of wonder.
And that keeps the body young.
That's the idea. Because the heart stays awake, the body keeps renewing itself. Some tantric texts talk about this as an inner flame that keeps the blood warm, the body vital.
An inner flame. And the last one is really intriguing. Inherited madness or divine insanity. Sounds like a problem, not a benefit.
It really does from our usual viewpoint. These people aren't always easy. They might hear voices, talk to ancestors, follow dreams or intuitions that seem completely irrational to everyone else.
Yeah, that sounds challenging.
It can be. And yet, paradoxically, their lives often unfold with this uncanny grace. They might sidestep illnesses everyone else gets, recover incredibly quickly, glow with health, even when things are tough.
So the madness isn't sickness.
The sources frame it more as an initiation, a kind of spiritual opening to realities beyond the norm. And that connection, that unconventional perception, ultimately brings a kind of grace and resilience, even physically.
Wow. Flips the script on what we call madness.
Yeah.
And then the very last one, a bit taboo, you said, a longing to remain.
Yes, it goes against the grain of many spiritual paths that focus on transcending life or embracing death as real.
Right.
These rare souls apparently have this deep, powerful longing to stay, not because they fear death, but because they're profoundly devoted to life. They love the experience too much to let go easily.
Clinging to life out of love, not fear.
Exactly, it's reverence. And in some secret teachings, this intense longing is said to ignite a specific kind of energy, almost like kundalini.
The spiritual energy.
Yes, but focused differently. Here it's called a kundalini of preservation, a divine will that doesn't just awaken consciousness, but actively sustains the life. These people might never say it aloud, but deep down there's a vow. I'm staying until my work here.
What an absolutely incredible journey through these ideas. We've really seen how, looking through this mystical lens, youthfulness isn't just skin deep. It's painted as this profound spiritual signature.
Yeah, deeply linked to our inner states, our choices, even the unconventional.
It completely challenges the standard idea of aging as just this inevitable biological countdown.
It really does. It reframes it, suggesting it might be more about, as the sources put it, that accumulation of energetic weight.
Right. So maybe the thought to leave everyone with is this. What unseen forces could be shaping your appearance right now? And what might shift if you consciously chose a path of silent rebellion, or aim to live from that unburned essence, or even quietly cultivated that deep devotional longing to remain until your unique work felt complete?
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it?
It does. Perhaps the real secret to defying age isn't about fighting time at all. Maybe it's about stepping outside of its usual flow and aligning ourselves with something much more timeless, more eternal, deep within.